All right, so with the Kansas City Chiefs, we said last hour there's been a lot of talk about them becoming a dynasty. Now, I will say this. I am one that thinks they can be a great team for the next several years. I don't know that they'll win it next year. I mean, it's hard to win a Super Bowl. It really is. That's one reason you got to credit the Patriots so much. But it's difficult to get back. It's difficult to win it. Remember, Rob, Philadelphia, a lot of people thought they would be a team that could, they were young and they're still a good team. But, who knows if they'll ever win the Super Bowl again. Carolina with Cam Newton. I mean,
after that year, you feel like, they'll come back.
15-1, right? He has a great year. So
Seahawks,
it's not easy.
Seahawks, even though their dynasty was not fulfilled, they went to 2 Super Bowls and they lost 1.
Yep. They left that one on the table.
Right, they left that on the table. But, Chris, they weren't able to get back again. Right, and they have Russell Wilson. Ain't nothing wrong with him. He's still good. But as you know, once you have success and once you start paying people, the team changes.
Yes.
And that's why if you aren't able to secure it really that second year before people start going their separate ways and teams have to decide, are we keeping this guy? What are we doing? It's hard.
Right.
It definitely is hard.
It's a challenge. But several people are kind of comparing them to the Golden State Warriors.
So they're going to choke when they win their go undefeated 16-0 and then choke?
Well, if they win 3 out of 5 years, that'll be whether they choke one down the drain or not, that'll be a heck of an achievement. So I'm sure they would love to become the Golden State Warriors and win 3 championships in the next 5 years or 2 more.
Yeah, but they added
4.
a great player. I don't know if you could really relate to them the same way because with Steph and Draymond and Clay, they went to 2 and they won 1 and lost 1. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm not so sure, Chris, that without the addition of Durant, that they were going to for sure win 2 more championships. I'm not convinced of that.
Well, yeah, it's hard to say they would have. Maybe they would have won 2. I do think they would have won the next year. I think they would have been so driven by, feeling like they gave away that 1 title that I think they would have came back and had a tremendous season and won it that next year. Now, would they have won 2? That's, that's tough to say.
Yeah, I don't know. After giving up that one with a 3-1 lead, I'm just not so sure that it would have been automatic. You know what I mean? Despite the team.
But don't you think they were the better team? Because I think you agree with, and I'm not taking anything away from Cleveland because stuff happens. I mean, any number of finals, we can look at injuries that played a role or whatever it may be. But I think if Draymond doesn't get suspended, they probably close him out right there in Golden State in Game 5.
But my only problem with that is all they had to do was win 1 game,
right.
And they lost 2 of the 3 at home, even with the Draymond. They had to win 1 of 2 games at home, Chris, and they couldn't do it. That's the part that I think you look at and say, wow, you know what I mean? That was, to me, the part that made me question whether or not they can make that happen.
Well, anyway, the question is, are the Chiefs – are they like the Warriors? And a lot of people are saying, Michael Irvin actually said it. He compared Patrick Mahomes to Steph Curry. And I get the comparisons as far as, stylistically relative to their sports. They both score in bunches. They both have, to some degree, Steph to a greater degree, but they both changed the game. Mahomes hasn't changed it like Steph did. Steph really has completely changed the game of basketball with the 3-point shot. Now it's nothing. Remember, Rob, it used to be, you would never see guys shoot from the hash mark. And it was like, especially not a normal jump shot. They might throw it up there in some awkward way. That's commonplace now. And behind, deeper than that, a Trae Young and Damian Lillard and these guys taking these long bombs from 3. So Steph has changed the game to a greater degree than Mahomes has, but I think Mahomes has changed it a little. He's doing some things differently. The no-look passes. Not that they're that common for him, but he does throw them. But I think Mahomes is better, potentially. I think he's better than Steph relative to their sport because I think Mahomes, and obviously I've been saying this, I think he's a guy that will eventually be in the GOAT conversation.
I just when you say that, I still cringe at it because I just think of where you have to go. And he's off to a good start, Chris, but so many things can happen. It's a long road.
Of course. He can get hurt. He can,
and even forget about Tom Brady's 6. I
don't think he has to win 6.
But
I'm sure I don't think you do think that either.
Well,
right?
but I'm saying even that, just the daunting of what's in front of you of Joe Montana's 4-0 is enough. You know what I mean? Like you can't have a misstep.
You got to win a lot.
No,
but
I know.
I'm not just taking this out of thin air. I mean, I watched and I know you watched the game too. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm saying this on watching his talent, watching the way he plays the game, watching the way he is in the clutch, watching the way he is as a leader and his intangibles. And again, I think every so often a runner a player in various sports comes along that has that type of ability. But when LeBron James was in high school, some people were saying he could one day be better than Michael Jordan. That's similar to what I'm saying. But they
were wrong. And here's the other thing.
Were wrong, but he had a shot.
But here's the only thing I'm saying to you.
He had a shot. That's all I'm saying. And even with Michael Jordan, Bobby Knight, the legendary coach Bobby Knight, said during the 84 when he was trying out, he was on the Olympic team, Bobby Knight said, this is the best basketball player I've ever seen. So there are guys, you can watch the game. I don't just look at stats. I don't just look at accomplishments. Watching the game and seeing how well a guy plays it. Mike Trout, people are saying he could one day become the best player of all time. Nobody's saying they are at this point.
My only thing
I don't think it's out of bounds for somebody to be able to look at a player and how good they are at a certain age and say potentially this guy could one day be the greatest.
But there are a lot of players where people thought that they had that it, or they thought like the start of their career. And I'm not saying of their winning a championship, but even the conversation you're talking about GOAT. Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowls in his first 4 years. Like that's on the table. If you're talking about GOAT, that's what I can't see.
But it's not just that.
No, but you're talking about.
You don't have to win 6. Kobe's got 5. LeBron's got 3. Most people think LeBron's better than Kobe. So it's not just about, he doesn't have to win. You think Montana's better than Brady, and he's won 4.
Yeah, but he's 4-0. I'm just talking about the degree of difficulty of doing that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying it's easy, Rob, and I've said all along,
that's all I'm saying.
I just don't agree with your whole philosophy of you can't look at a guy early in his career and say he's got the potential to be the greatest.
Okay, that's what I can't. I can't
don't know why. You couldn't have looked at Eric Dickerson.
I didn't see Mike. I didn't see Mike
third season and said he could be the greatest running back ever one day.
I didn't.
Barry Sanders. You saw him.
I saw Barry Sanders. I didn't even see it with. I never saw. I didn't see it with Tom Brady. Who else was I thinking? Even Michael Jordan, as great as he was, Chris, I didn't think to myself after his first 7 years that he was going to be the greatest player. I knew he was a great player, but I didn't think he was going to win at that rate, because it's not just that. It is about winning. It's not just about. It's not just about numbers.
If you're that good, you've got to win, and if you're that good, you will win. I mean, I know there's a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot of great players who didn't win. So.
No, I never said they weren't great players, but the greatest, there's no player that's the greatest ever in his sport that's never won.
The greatest player I ever saw in baseball is Barry Bonds. He didn't win.
Well, baseball, okay.
I'm just saying.
Right. No, you're right. But that's a whole different sport.
I know, but I'm just giving.
Mike Trout,
giving you an example.
That's different than basketball and football. We're talking about football. Baseball, Mike Trout, whether he becomes the greatest ever, is not going to be based on whether he wins a World Series.
I think that's going to count.
Baseball,
I think that's going to count.
Barry Bonds be the greatest?
I said the greatest that I ever saw.
He's the greatest.
But I'm talking about when people. But when people talk about it, winning championships, they matter.
Not as much in baseball.
I just think that they do. I'm not saying
in baseball.
I'm not saying that you're counted out because you didn't win a championship. But
in baseball, you aren't. I mean, in baseball. Who's the greatest baseball player?
I said that I ever saw.
But
people would say.
Who would most people say, other than Babe Ruth?
People would say, right, at that time.
Now, who would they say?
Well, they would say, as far as WAR or numbers, they would say Mike Trout is just based on that. He
don't even get to the playoffs.
No.
So I'm saying baseball is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
But in football and basketball, you have to win championships. And so I agree. I mean, I don't care what kind of numbers Mahomes puts up if he doesn't win several championships, far more than this one. We talk about Aaron Rodgers all the time. A lot of people have said he's the greatest they've seen throwing the football, but he's only got one championship. So he's not going to be in that conversation. Same with Dan Marino, no championships. So I agree with you that Mahomes has to win, and that depends a lot on teammates, the organization, the coaches, injuries, all that. I get it.
Right. That's
I totally disagree with the notion that if you know a sport, you can't look at somebody and see how good they are and say potentially he could become the greatest ever.
Okay, that's where we disagree.
I just think there's
too many. I think there's too many landmines between here and the end of his career. With injury, football, all kinds of stuff happening.
All you have to do is say that.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, of course you have to stay healthy. Of course you have to win. But, I mean, Tom Brady was not doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing. He was winning, but he wasn't always the driving force like Mahomes is. You know, so I think Mahomes is better. We were talking about the Warriors comparison. I think Mahomes is better than Steph Curry. Like, as great as Steph is, and obviously, you know, people that listen to the show know that I think he's an all-time great. But he's never going to be in the GOAT conversation. I don't think he's ever been in the GOAT conversation. And Patrick Mahomes, I think people can look at him and say, yeah, one day if things break the right way, if he stays healthy, if the team can stay together and all that,
but
he could be that.
You're the only one I've heard say that, and this is what I'm saying. Most people,
Rod Woodson was just on last hour and said I'm on the right track,
or just premature. That's what I think.
It's not premature.
That's what most people think. I'm saying.
I don't know
we've had
why
callers. Most people think.
Most of these people said I'm right. He's Jordan Ness. Most of the callers we had.
Not to be
today,
GOAT. Most say they're premature to talk about he could be GOAT.
Jordan-esque, that's GOAT talk.
Jordan didn't even win his first 6 or 7 years.
Right, but
how is that Jordan-esque? It doesn't make sense to me.
For you to say nobody thought he could be the best, he had Come Fly With Me videos. He had the signature sneaker that was selling. A lot of people thought he was that before he even won.
Oh, I don't think anybody. If Michael Jordan never won, I don't think people would be talking about him as the all-time
But people
great.
were looking at him as that potential. That's all I'm saying. That's what I don't get. Look, I'm not saying I know sports better than a lot of people, but I know him enough to watch somebody play football and be able to say, this guy could be the best running back we've ever seen. This guy could be the best quarterback we've ever seen. Same in basketball. So, all right, what do you guys think? 877-99 on Fox.
Didn't you tell me that
877-996-6.
Dak Prescott was going to be elite?
Don't even bring up that.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Well, no, I think that can be elite. I mean, seriously. And you told me the Packers going to win the Super Bowl.
Okay, I'm just saying.
And the Chargers going to be their opponent.
And you picked the Dallas Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl.
But who I picked to beat them?
And you picked LeBron James to be the MVP. And you picked the Lakers to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll make it this year.
We could go on and on and on.
That's why I said, why you even bringing up that?
I'm just saying.
What's happening, y'all? It's Chris Broussard.
I'm Rob Parker.
And we are
The Odd Couple. Check us out as often as you can on YouTube.
And always remember, I'm Oscar and he's Felix.
Oh, man. Are you serious?